Welcome to the Wealthy Speaker Podcast. This is the podcast dedicated to people who want to speak more as a way to build their income and grow their business. Well, welcome everyone to the Wealthy Speaker Podcast. My name is Jane Atkinson. Many of you know me as the author of the Wealthy Speaker 2.0, but you might not be aware of our latest book entitled The Wealthy Speaker Daily Success Planner and Journal. For me, this is one of the most exciting products that my team and I have ever produced because I can see people building momentum by using it every single day. It's something that you have the material of the Wealthy Speaker 2.0 and you're taking that all in, but then what do you do on a daily basis? And so we are actually setting you up for success. And we even have a Facebook group now for the Daily Success Planner. So if you are interested, those of you who already own it, please go out and join us. We're just getting started on a 30-day challenge, which is going to be really fun. Just all you need to do in Facebook is put in the exact name of the journal and you will find us. So I want to give a shout out to our beautiful, beautiful tribe who are leaving comments. A lot of the comments come to me directly. But I would love it. Let's say you're listening on Stitcher or you're listening in iTunes. We'd really, really appreciate it if you could leave us a review. That is what's going to help us get found by more and more people, especially on iTunes. I think there's so many podcasts out there. They're doing a great job. A lot of really amazing shows that I've been listening to on the treadmill and in the bathtub. What a great way to use your time when you are kind of doing things that might be not business related. Our topic today is one that I think is just growing in power, and it's just going to keep getting more and more powerful. We're going to be talking about LinkedIn. Many of my clients are seeing tremendous results getting business, building long-term relationships using LinkedIn. I bet many of you already have a LinkedIn account. I suspect that that's something that's a bit of a no-brainer. But one thing I did notice is that when we were at this session that I attended on LinkedIn at a convention recently, many people did not know their password, which showed me that they were not actually using LinkedIn. So I want to make sure that you're using it if it works, and we'll talk about that in a second. And B, that you had the tools to actually take a little deeper dive into it. So I invited Jennifer Darling, who was the leader of that session, to be on the podcast here with us today. Jennifer, welcome.
Thank you, Jane. I'm really excited to be here and share some incredible knowledge on using LinkedIn to get more customers.
Well, Jennifer comes to us from Sacramento, California, where no doubt she's looking out her window at some beautiful moderate temperatures. And meanwhile, we're up here in Canada and the snow just keeps piling higher and higher up on the windows. So thank you for taking the time for being with us. Let me give everybody just a little intro on you, Jennifer. Jennifer works with organizations who want to connect with, engage with, and activate their customers to increase sales. She has over 20 years of experience in sales, marketing, and management for media companies, working for TV station affiliates such as Fox, NBC, CBS, and Comcast. She is an expert in using LinkedIn to fill your funnel with prospects and get more customers, which is exactly what we need today. Yay! Thank you, Jennifer,
and
for
I love
being
that your
here.
podcast helps people in so many ways do that. It's incredible.
Well, so let's just establish who exactly should be taking more notice of LinkedIn, because there may be the odd person in our listenership who says, well, my customers just really aren't on LinkedIn, and that's okay, right? I mean, who are we actually going to find out there?
You know, the thing about LinkedIn that's really cool is that you are going to be finding and connecting with, and you can search for corporate meeting professionals, speaker bureaus and associations, and also decision makers. So depending on what kind of market that you're speaking to, those are the three main different kinds of people. So if you are speaking to, if you're speaking in sales like you or me, then you might want to speak to the sales manager at a corporation to get booked for speaking, and those would be great people, C-suite, speaker bureau and associations, and corporate meeting professionals are all there on using LinkedIn.
Love it. Love it. Now, you did something really brilliant at the session that I saw you speaking on LinkedIn. You brought up the sales social selling
Mm-hmm.
index, and it gives you a number of how you're doing on LinkedIn. And I did not know how I was doing on LinkedIn. I had maybe heard the term once or twice, but I would suspect that it actually taps into the competitor in us by going, hey, wait a second, my index is too low. And eSpeakers does that really well as well. They'll give you a number and it's like, okay, I got to get in there and update my eSpeakers profile so I am more competitive in this market. So when we brought up the SSI, my number was in the 60s out of 100. And I was like, oh, what? Wait. And I actually took action immediately. And you got me from, I forget what the number was, in the low 60s up to 71, which is, at least is maybe moderate. So
Awesome.
first, let's tell everybody. First, you go to linkedin.com
Mm-hmm.
/sales
Mm-hmm.
/SSI.
Right.
Okay,
And the
let's,
SSI stands for Social Selling Index, just in case you get, that's hard to remember, is the
yes.
SSI, Social Selling Index.
Okay, let
Yeah.
me say it again, just in case, and we'll also put it out in our show notes.
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn.com /sales
Mm-hmm.
/SSI. And you do need to
You
be
got
logged in, and that will actually bring up your social selling dashboard. So my dashboard now says I'm in the top 2% in industry SSI rank and top 16% in the network SSI rank. What does that mean?
Sure. The industry rank is all of the people who you have selected your professional industry. So, for example, if you selected, as I would assume you would select trainer and speaker, professional coach and trainer,
Mm-hmm.
then you're in the top 1 or 2% of all of the people who selected that as an industry. There are probably, I don't know, there are multiple industries. It doesn't get really, really defined.
Okay.
But if you had accidentally selected building and materials,
Mm,
it would totally change your profile and your algorithm and who you attract.
right.
And then that would put you in that percentage for industry professionals in building and materials.
Okay.
The second number, your network, is all of the people who you are connected with. So all of your first person connections. That is the number that your score is relevant to those people.
So I probably need to do better. What this says to me is that my network is doing really well.
Yeah, you're
And
connected with some high
and
moving players.
yeah, movers and shakers, and that's good. But I need to be doing well amongst them, probably of spending
Mm-hmm.
time on LinkedIn. And I do recognize, and I did recognize on the day that I pulled it up and it was in the 60s, that I really hadn't been paying any attention to LinkedIn. I was, aware every time I go on, maybe 15 or 20 people want to
Mm-hmm.
connect. Great. Connect. And then I do nothing with it. So shame on me, right? So, let's go through the areas that you can actually work on in your social selling index. What do we have control of, Jennifer, and what do we not?
Well, what I would say is that first off, if you have the social selling index open now, if you're looking at your own social selling index, I'm going to walk you through a couple pieces as you're looking at that. If you're not, just grab a pen and paper and take notes because you can always go back to it later.
Great.
When you open that, you're going to see two different charts. On the left is going to be a pie chart with a big number in it, somewhere from 0 to 100. And I'll say, Jane, 60 is actually pretty good for somebody who's not monitoring this. Many people I speak to are 20, 30, and 40 and really have some work to do to get this up. And I'm going to give you some tips specifically on what you could do. On the right-hand side is a pie chart with 4 different bars on it. The easiest things to improve is the top bar and the bottom bar. The top bar is about your branding, and this is so important for speakers. What I see a lot of times is people have gotten amazing websites. And then when I look over on LinkedIn, the branding isn't consistent or there's no branding there. I actually have reviewed several hundred speaker profiles. And one of the biggest things I found was that people didn't use specific keywords in their profile, like speaker.
Right.
So if I go to search for speakers and you don't have speaker in your profile, you're not going to come up as a speaker. And I found that true for even some of the biggest, most well-known speakers that we find. Maybe they don't need help getting booked like some of the rest of us.
Let me just put a pin in that for 1 second, because from my perspective, I'm always talking about position as an expert first and a speaker second. And so I want people to have a really clear promise on their website. But when it comes to LinkedIn, we need to be more specific. So I just want to give a little caveat there, because people might be saying, but wait a second, I'm leading with my promise statement, which might normally be helpful, but in LinkedIn, we need to be specific that people will understand this is actually how you deliver on your promise.
Well, and that's a really excellent point. And I have to say, I agree with you 100%. So my recommendation to people, I always tell them this, is put your positioning statement in your headline first, and then put things like speaker or sales expert also in your headline, because it's from a branding and marketing standpoint, but two, then it's also from a keyword algorithm search standpoint. So you're doing both of those things if you've got that in your headline, or at least in the beginning of your summary.
Okay, that sounds really good. Okay, what's next?
So in this branding position, in the first bar, the way that you can control that is by completing all of the sections in your profile. There will be a little blue bar up in the top right of your screen, and it will say additional sections. And you can just push that bar down. It's a drop down, and just make sure you complete everything. Some people think, oh, I don't want to complete education because it's not, it doesn't really matter. It's not really relevant. Well, that's true. But if you don't complete that section, it keeps you from having an all-star status.
Okay, good.
So put something in there.
Okay.
The other thing that's really important is multimedia. And this is so good for speakers, because every speaker should have a speaker video and a speaker one sheet and some headshots. Those components are missing from a lot of speaker profiles, and helps you increase your score on LinkedIn if you have multimedia.
Right. And I remember it came out a little bit wonky, but there's some problem in glitchy. It's a bit glitchy in putting your pictures up, but I put up all of the books that I've written, and that was a big helpful thing. And I actually did go back and add my education. I didn't have a big sexy university education that I feel comfortable with, but I thought, oh, well, I did have an education, so let me put it on there. And that helped me. I think that was one of the biggest things that helped, and also adding more media. And I would say even video of you talking to the camera about what it is that you do would be helpful in terms of adding the video. If you don't have a big demo video, that's okay. Add that instead. I'm not a big fan of the one sheet, but I'm sure if you have one, you might as well put it up there, right?
Yeah. And, and it's funny that you say that, because I really put my heels in the sand about one sheets for a long time. And it somewhat isn't for me, but corporate meeting professionals want that. They want to see that. So I want to make it easy for them to be there. And the video, you're absolutely right. It doesn't, if you don't have a professional video or a demo reel, then you can do tips in your industry. That's easy to do on Facebook, and actually on LinkedIn, they have a live feature. You could do that on LinkedIn Live now. You can record it at home and put it on YouTube, all those kinds of ways. I mean, we're speakers, so that people want to see us speaking. So video is really important from a branding standpoint, but also from getting your social selling index up.
So on a regular basis, if we are writing blogs or doing podcasts, those links should be going out there. I know that for putting the blog out there, it's really easy. Is there anything that's kind of podcast specific yet on LinkedIn?
No, not for podcasts. And I consider podcasts to be audio, where I would consider webinars to be video and audio. or video casts, some people call them. But for podcasts, you can definitely put those on your LinkedIn profile too. It'll just be showing up as audio, but you can add written words to say a description or tell people what the benefit is to listening to the podcast. And you certainly can promote your podcast on LinkedIn as well.
Okay, good. That's got my brain is thinking about,
Yeah,
okay,
it'd
what
be
do we need to be
great for
doing
you.
better
Yeah.
on that? I mean, do we load them all up there? I don't know exactly
You
how would
know,
we
I
begin.
wouldn't. Honestly, that would take a lot of time, and so I wouldn't. What I would do is I would implement a standard operating procedure where I would just start to post them as you're doing
As
them.
they go.
Because,
Okay.
yeah, the other thing about LinkedIn that's kind of a little bit funny is if you go and you post all of your stuff on one day,
Right.
that's nice, but it doesn't actually help you.
Okay.
It's better to be more consistent. So I tell people, if you've got 52 blogs that you want to go put on LinkedIn, don't go put them all in one day. Put them once a week because you being on LinkedIn and engaging on a consistent basis actually helps your score go up more than going and putting 52 blogs on in one day.
Right. Good. I think we have been promoting them every time, but I don't know that we've actually attached them to the profile. So I'm going to check on that and see whether or not we should be putting more audio out there. Okay. So what else? Anything else about the brand that we need to be thinking about?
Actually, there are two other pieces, and it's why I focus on the brand part so much, because it's the easiest, and it also probably has the most pieces that you can control. So the next thing is getting testimonials. They call it something different, but it's testimonials.
Recommendations maybe or something.
Recommendations, but getting testimonials from people is really important, and also publishing articles in their publishing platform, which is called LinkedIn's Publisher.
Okay.
And if you publish in there, your score will go up too. Some people call those long form posts. They're not actually, if you go in and you try to post, it's not actually a post, you write an article. So LinkedIn has their own blog publishing platform, just like WordPress or anything else. Yeah.
Good. Okay. So you want to make sure that you're taking advantage of those. If you're already writing for your own blog, we want to make sure that we put them out on the publisher. Okay.
Yeah. And you know, Jane, what I tell people who, if they are already writing blogs and they want people to get to their blog website or to they're putting their blogs on their website, what I would say is in LinkedIn, you don't have to publish the entire blog in LinkedIn. Oftentimes what I will do is I will say, let's just say I just wrote an article called 21 Ways to Promote Your Business in 2018. Maybe I put 3 of those ways in the blog post on LinkedIn, and I say to read the rest of the article, click here, and I get them back to my website.
And that is actually the whole point of blogging. Thank you so much for bringing that up. You know, why do we do blogging? Well, we do it to raise our profile, but we also really want to drive people to our website. So even if you don't do it that exact way, do somehow bring people over to your website. That is really a good point that you just made.
Thank you. I see people using all of these things separately, social media and their websites. And what happens is they really are missing opportunities. They should be working all together. So when I'm sitting down working on a campaign, I'm thinking, well, how does this get back to my website? Because the ultimate goal is for me to get somebody on my email list so I can build a relationship with them there.
Right. Exactly. Okay. Very good. All right. Are we good on branding?
That's it for the branding.
Okay.
We're good.
So now the next one is around, well, let's go from you said that the 2 easiest ones to deal with are the professional brand and the bottom one, which is build relationships.
Right.
Somehow I got up to 25 on that out of 25. I have no idea what I did. So,
well, there's 2 components to that one. And it is, 1, how many connections do you have? So if you have under 500 connections, you really need to work on building more connections. 500 is kind of the baseline, the bottom line that you want to be at.
Okay.
And then you really want to keep continuing to build connections. Now, I don't just click the button and connect with every single person, because there's an option to do that. But I actually try to really look at their profile and see if they have something of value to offer, or if I have something of value to offer them to be connected. I do just a little bit of research on each connection. And then I send them a personal invitation letting them know why I want to connect with them. Now, some people might think, well, this takes a lot of time to do that, but I want to build relationships with people. So time is important to that piece.
Right.
Just sending out a mass connection doesn't help me build relationships with people.
So you're talking about kind of an outbound strategy, and I think that is really where most people feel like, okay, LinkedIn, what have you done for me lately? They aren't quite ready to put in the time. So give us some guidelines in terms of how much time do you think it really takes to use LinkedIn well?
I would say if you are spending 5 to 10 minutes a day engaging with people,
All
and
right.
then you're spending a little bit of time every week on putting your blog post there, then that would be a sufficient amount of time.
Okay.
I think people, once you start to use it, you actually will want more of it because LinkedIn gives you business news.
Right.
It's my place I use for news. Facebook's got all kinds of stuff going on over in Facebook, right?
Those,
All
I don't want to say it
news.
incorrectly, but it's crazy over there.
Yeah, right. It's crazy town over in Facebook. You've got news, you've got political, you've got
Oh, yeah.
drama, you've got,
There's a lot of
relatives
drama.
that you don't really
Yeah.
want to be connected with.
Yeah.
But in
Okay.
LinkedIn, I find news, I find articles, I find valuable information on the speaking industry, I find valuable information on companies, and I can connect and engage with people in companies. If I wanted to be speaking at IBM, I can go research people in IBM and I can find out who are the right people I should connect with, and then how do I engage with them. So I actually think you could spend a little bit of time there and you'll find yourself wanting to spend more time there, but not time that is wasted like it is over in Crazy Town, but time that is research for your business.
Yeah. Okay. You said it nicely there, Crazy Town. So how about we say, look, just commit let's say 5 minutes a day and see, maybe do that for 30 days and see whether or not you are starting to see more of the relationships building. And one of the things I want to recommend is we have a second podcast on social selling with my friend and client Erin Gargan, and she uses the PUB method when reaching out to people. PUB being personal, useful, and brief. And I'm sure you will concur that when people connect with you, let's see, you're on the receiving end of it now. You're not reaching out, you're on the receiving end. Somebody connects with you. This just happened to me this morning. And they do what I call the show up and throw up. They connect, and then the next thing I know, I'm reading like a 3-page letter. Look, dude, I don't even know who you are, and now you expect me to read a 3-page letter, and very likely on something that I really don't care about. So can we just say, when you are building relationships, that you keep it brief and that you keep it useful? And if you could figure out that personal element, great.
It drives me crazy when people do that. And I've been tricked too, which means somebody's reached out to me and said, I'm really interested in following you as a sales leader and marketing leader, blah, blah, blah. And stroke my ego, that's all a really good thing. But then it comes to asking me some questions, and then will you take a look at my sales stuff, and then now will you buy it? It's like, I feel like I've just been duped. So don't do that.
Yeah.
Find out by reading my posts, by reading what I share, do a little bit of research on me, see what you might be able to help me with, and then give me a piece of value.
Yeah. And I love it when somebody says, hey, I just thought this article might be of interest to you.
That's
okay.
it.
Thank you. Thank you for not doing the show up and throw up. And I know that's a kind of a vulgar term, but it's a vulgar thing to do. So it's appropriate.
It is, right.
Okay. All right. So let's say 5 minutes a day on building relationships. That's going to get your score higher. So we've established our brand and we're building our relationships. Is there anything we can do about those two middle numbers? Find the right people, engage with insights.
Yeah, actually, we already talked about one, which is the second one, is the daily activity,
Hmm.
and that's what you just talked about. So if you just spend 5 minutes a day, you're going to increase that number. The other part of that is you searching for people. So going right into the search bar at the top and looking for people you might want to be connected with. Now, the way that I do this is if I'm at a conference, that's when I get a lot of people. So
Oh,
I'll
right.
get their business cards, I will search for them, I will
Nice.
find them, and I will send them a private message, just like I did with you. Hi, Jane, it was really great to watch your session today. I learned a lot of helpful tools, and I might even name one specific tool. Love
Mm,
to connect you with you on LinkedIn. Um,
great.
the last bar that we talked about, another piece of that is how many people accept your connections. So the percentage of people that accept your connections, many people will just accept them, but
Right.
some people get very particular. And
Hmm.
so you want to make sure that you are searching and then writing that custom message, and that'll help you with both the second bar and the
Okay.
fourth bar.
I just accept everybody but I don't actually reach out and ask anybody to connect with me, but I should probably be doing that more in order to get that number
Mm-hmm.
up.
Right.
Okay.
That'll help you with the
Good.
second part.
And
Mm-hmm.
actually, even since coming to your session, I've actually tried to be on LinkedIn at least once a day doing
Mm-hmm.
something. And so I think that that's actually helped to drive the numbers up a little bit too. Okay.
Right. And so the more that you're on LinkedIn, the more that you will be in other people's news feeds. So this is a very important part. I met a person at that same conference we're talking about, and she messaged me and she said, "Oh my gosh, after I met with you and we connected, I see you everywhere now."
Yes, yeah, it's like the yellow Volkswagen. You
Right?
say yellow Volkswagen, then you see them everywhere.
Right.
And it's true for me too. You were everywhere once I had connected with you, and that just goes to reassure someone that, oh, I want somebody who knows what they're talking about LinkedIn, and there you were everywhere on LinkedIn,
Right. And
being
that
the
can be
expert.
the same for everybody on this call.
Yeah.
If you just work that is if you meet a corporate meeting professional, say, or somebody who works for an association at an event, and you follow the steps I just told you, now all of a sudden you're in front of them all the time. How awesome is that?
Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay, so
The
we've
third
really
piece, we
sorry, you
didn't
go
cover
ahead,
the third
third
piece.
piece.
Yeah, I'll just real quick, I'll cover that, which was engage with insights. So the things you can do here are like, comment, and share on other people's stuff, and then join groups. You can
Mm.
have up to 50 groups in LinkedIn that you're affiliated with. And then also one thing we already talked about was sending the private messages. So that's a way to control that too.
So when it comes to joining groups, one of
Mhm.
the things that I might recommend, some of my clients, we try to narrow it down to three industries that they want to be viewed as the expert in and then brought in to speak. So let's give an example. Actually, one of my clients, Marilyn Sherman, she's really well known in the food service industry. And that tends to cross some barriers too. It could be food manufacturing, it could be restaurants, there could be a lot of different elements about that. So
Mhm.
those are the groups that Marilyn wants to be participating in on LinkedIn, right?
Right, exactly. So I love that you're giving that example because sometimes people will go in and say, "Well, I want to be part of all these speaker groups." And that's all great, but
Yeah,
that's
what's
where your competition is hanging out.
right,
You
right,
need to be hanging out where your clients are hanging out. So, yeah,
right.
definitely identify those in particular groups. And for Marilyn, who's fantastic, she may be in multiple different industry groups within the overall arching umbrella.
Yeah, I think she's probably doing that. And maybe there are some groups that house if it's an association, even better. Now you've
Hmm.
got the leaders of all the corporations that you want to get in front of gathering in one place, and that's our goal, is to really see some impact. Have you seen anybody who has really done this well, like infiltrated a group really well, or anything that you've done yourself?
Well, I'm going to actually give you an example of somebody who just told me recently a story that he attended one of my training classes and he sent me a private message just last week and he had been trying to. He works for a big a cable company that does internet service.
Okay.
And he had been trying to get in touch with this owner of a certain type of a business. I couldn't even tell you what kind of businesses it is. It was like a manufacturing company.
Mm-hmm.
He had been trying to get in touch with this owner of this business for 7 years. He had been prospecting for 7 years. Now, to me, I would have probably just taken him off my list, but this guy's like a dog on a bone, and he could not get a hold of the person.
Wow.
He was told to call this person and that person and a different person in the organization. The other day, he sent me an email that was from the prospect and actually the decision maker. And the email said, thanks for getting in touch with me. What can you do for XYZ? Some language I don't know in their world. Mm-hmm. Send me a proposal.
Wow. So 7 years of dogged determination, and LinkedIn is the way in the door.
Yep. And this was, he was in my training like 3 weeks ago, and within 2 weeks, he has a proposal to this person.
So he figured out the way to getting in there, right? So let's talk, can we circle back? I don't know if we covered everything we might need to talk about when it comes to reaching out to a prospect. Let's say that you are Marilyn and you want to get yourself in front of ABC Food Manufacturing Company. What's the first step that she might take?
The first step she would take is to search for the right people to be connected to. So who's the decision maker? And she probably knows this, and you probably know this more than anybody, because decision makers are different depending on your company or organization. So if you know what job title that decision maker has, you can start to search for those people and then narrow them down to geographic location. Somebody closest to you if possible, or if you know that they have a particular event or whatever, you can find them based on that geographic location. Then I would connect with that person and I would just send them a message. You only have so many characters in a message, so you can't send a long message, which is fun because I find that people use too many words in messages anyway. Right. So it's a good challenge to get those words down to a minimum number that makes a statement. So she might even send them a message and say, I'd love to connect with you. I work with whomever, and I would love to find out if you can help me determine who's the person responsible for booking speakers at whatever event. I think it's fine to do that because you're asking somebody for some help. You're saying that you've been a speaker, but you don't have very many characters, so you have to be very specific about what it is you're saying. You might even send a demo video or an article. I'm sure Marilyn has been published, and you might send an article. Here's an article that I read. You can also see who your mutual connections are. And you can go look at the mutual connections. And the thing about mutual connections is I have a lot of mutual connections and I don't really know the people. Yeah. So you can't rely on people you don't know. But if one person is your friend Kelly, then you might reach out to Kelly first.
Right.
And say, Kelly, I noticed your connection with this person. What do you know? Can we have a conversation? Could you make an introduction for me? I mean, that's another way to go. But
I think those need to start with, do you really know Kelly?
Right. Exactly.
There's a good chance it might not be.
Very sparingly.
Yes, exactly. Okay, good. All right. That's really good. So she's got a place to start, and
if I could add one more thing to that, Jane. Before I sent that message out, I actually would go to the person's profile. I would look at what they're liking, commenting, or sharing. Are they writing articles, posting articles, and publishing articles? I would do 3 minutes of research first on what that person is into before I made an email message to them, because there might be something in that research that would help you make a connection with that person.
More personal. That's personal of the pub method. Personal, useful, brief. I see that you have blah, 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 me too. I think that that's something that, people can really use to, I'm sure I'm saying things all over LinkedIn that somebody might be able to find something personal to connect with me on. And I will reach back if it is that way, but I won't if it's just a long sales letter.
Right.
Yeah, that's really
Yep.
good. Okay. All right. So we've covered a lot of ground. What do we need to do to fill in the blanks? Oh, let me just clarify. Are you using any upgraded version of LinkedIn?
I'm not right now, but I am actually considering it. So
Okay.
it probably will do that this year.
Okay.
One of the reasons I'm not using it is because I believe that there's a ton of work that people can do in here to establish their professional brand, to connect with people, and to build influence and to get prospects that you can do without having the
Right.
upgraded version.
Okay.
However, there is an upgraded version called Sales Navigator that I'm
Right.
looking into, and it offers a lot more opportunity to manage your prospects and connections, to make it's like a CRM system within that database, and you can tag people. There's more things that you can do with it. But before
Okay.
you even think about that, I
Mm-hmm.
think you need to make sure that you have a good profile from the free stuff that you've
Right.
got.
And that's such good advice because I think most people try to throw money at the problem.
Mhm.
And that's not, if you don't have a solid profile to begin with, if you're not really willing to or interested in doing the work on a daily basis, then you're just throwing more money out the window, aren't you?
Well, I think so. And why invest in that if you don't understand how to use it? And if you don't have a basic understanding of the free platform, I really doubt you're going to understand the upgraded
Yeah.
version. But
Okay.
for people who have, a social selling index score of 65, 70, up in the 80s, the
Mm-hmm.
highest I've seen, I've had an 84.
Mm-hmm.
The highest my gurus that I follow tell me is that they have maybe an 8, they can get up to an 89.
Okay.
Outside of that, you have to have Sales Navigator or one other premium product to
Okay.
be able to increase that social selling score.
Good. Wow. You have covered so much with us today. Is there any holes that we've left? Anything that we might need to do to fill in a missing piece?
Yeah, I would say one piece that I think is really important for people is to take a look at their skills and endorsements and
Mm.
make sure that you can select 3 to show up in the top, and then the others are based on a drop down. Most people don't hit the drop down.
Oh,
Make sure those top 3 are the things that you want to be known for.
right.
I looked at someone's profile the other day and they had 3 totally random. They're not random, actually. They're specific. But what happened is it's not who they want to be.
Right, right.
It's their old business.
People have endorsed me for lots of things that I've thought, why would you endorse me for that? Like that just
Right.
it felt like there was a flurry of endorsements going on maybe a few years ago when LinkedIn started to get hotter and people were
Hmm.
just clicking any button and I thought, well, that's not meaningful. That's not meaningful to me.
Hmm.
So I really don't want that to show up on my profile. So that's a good piece of advice to make sure that those top 3 are the ones that you want to be known for.
Right. Yeah.
Good.
And make sure you have your contact information on there. So many profiles
Ah,
I look at, there's no email, there's no phone number, there's nothing else beyond connecting in LinkedIn to get a hold of you. If I'm a customer though, and I'm ready to book you as a speaker, I probably want your phone number. I want to know your
mm-hmm.
website or your email address.
Oh,
But if you don't have any way to get connected besides the messenger, I think that's a downfall.
okay. That's really good. And, we might think that's basic, but in fact, a lot of people may be missing it because they just haven't been paying attention. We're not trying to make anybody feel bad here. They just
No.
haven't been paying attention because there's so much to do out there. So let's
Yep.
assume that you're listening to this podcast because you do want to do something about it. So don't feel bad. Just start from where you are and let's start to build and get some of those basic things out
Yeah.
there and done very, very quickly. Well, Jennifer, my goodness, you've given us so many great things you have a free ebook out on your website. Tell everybody how to get it and what it's called.
Sure. This ebook is LinkedIn to get more customers, and you're absolutely right. You do not need to feel bad at all. In fact, 2018 is the year of LinkedIn, according to many social media gurus.
Okay.
So if you haven't done anything before, it's not too late.
Good.
Get started, and you can go to my website, which is Darling Coaching. That's my last name. darlingcoaching.com, and right on the top you can download the free ebook that I have there on LinkedIn, and it'll walk you through everything you need to do to update your profile. It'll give you a marketing sheet, a template to help you kind of figure out the branding piece. And then there's also a self-assessment on the near the back, and you can go and see what criteria I use to help assess people's profiles. So you can go right on my website and you can get that free resource, and that'll help you a ton.
Fantastic. And we'll put a link to that right in the show notes. And I want to say thank you so much for taking the time to give us this deep dive into LinkedIn today. Jennifer Darling, thank you.
Thank you so much, Jane. I love your podcast, and I'm really thankful that I was able to be a guest on it today. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, thank you, everyone. We're coming to you live from Wealthy Speaker headquarters, where the snow is piling up outside. You probably heard my fireplace on behind me here because I'm trying to stay warm. And I will see you soon, Wealthy Speakers. Bye for now, everyone. Thanks for listening to the Wealthy Speaker Show. Please visit speakerlauncher.com for your free Wealthy Speaker audit, and visit speakerlauncher.com/podcast for show notes and many more resources to help you catapult your speaking business. See you soon, Wealthy Speakers.